So hello everyone. So I welcome you all. I welcome you all to another session of ancient history. আপোনালোকে জানে যে মই ancient history পঢ়াওঁ. So I welcome you all to another session of ancient history. And in this particular session of ancient history, if you remember, in our last class, we spoke about a lot of things. We primarily spoke about the later Vedic age, and our last class ended with what? Our last class ended with a discussion, with a thorough discussion on the position of women during the later Vedic age. আমি এইটো কথা গম পাইছিলোঁ যে later Vedic ageৰ সময়ত মাইকী মানুহৰ position, okay, the position of women during the later Vedic age, it became worse. It became worse in comparison to their position during the Vedic age. All that has been discussed in my last class. Today, a very good evening, Rajdeep and Bhavna. A very good evening to all of you. So today, we shall take it forward. Okay, today we shall take it forward from that portion. So let's see what is in store for us today. So before proceeding any further, I just wanted to, to share something about Civil Services Achievers Point. And in case I would urge everyone to become a member of our WhatsApp group. Please join our WhatsApp group, or you can also join our Telegram group. And by joining these two groups, you can stay updated. You can stay updated about a lot of things because we keep sharing stuff in these two groups. So I would request and urge you guys to join these two groups as soon as possible. All you need to do is you can join our WhatsApp group by the links to join both the groups have been shared in the description below. In the description below, the links have been shared. All you need to do is just click on the links, and the links will lead you to the groups, and then you can join the groups very easily. Then I'm also very happy to let you know that we are very soon coming up with the interview guidance program for APSC CCE 2022. As you all know, we're expecting the mains results to be out soon enough. The dates are not out yet, so I cannot tell you any date. I cannot give you any date. But once the main results come out, and those who will go through, or those who will get through this phase of the APSC Civil Services examination, they will have to sit for the interview, which is the final stage. And in order to make you guys prepare for the final round of interview, so that they can go through all the 3 stages of the tough examination very, very nicely and successfully, we are coming up with this amazing interview guidance program. See, an interview guidance program is what makes an interview guidance program amazing. Okay, one of the most important things that makes an interview guidance program out of this world, or truly helpful, is the interview panel. And we are presenting a world-class interview panel. Okay, we are presenting a world-class interview panel because one of the most distinguished persons in this interview panel is none other than Shri Anil Swarup sir, who is a retired IAS, and he is also the former Coal Secretary of India. Okay, apart from that, we have Robin Kolita sir. He is an IRTS retired. He was also the former director of IRCTC, and he has also been a former external member of the APSC interview board. So just imagine the amount of experience he has. Just imagine. Okay, then we also have Shri Omiyo Kumar Bora sir. He was the former APSC chairman. Okay, he was also the former APSC chairman. Then we will also be having Shri Rajdeep Lekharu sir, who is the director of Civil Services Achievers Point. Other than that, there will also be Jepulris Kalita sir. He is one of the senior faculty members of Civil Services Achievers Point. He is also the department head, and of course, there will be myself in this interview panel. So this is a very exciting opportunities for you guys, because this program is not just about the mock interviews. Of course, we will be conducting mock interviews, but this is a comprehensive program which will help you bust all your fears relating to the personal interview ground. Okay, we will groom you from scratch. So I would urge you guys to register with us as soon as possible. So please register with us as soon as possible. The registration, we are not charging a penny for the registration, which is starting from 18th, okay, which has started already from 18th of August, and the registration process is going on, and we have had a phenomenal response. The response we have got from this this is for this interview guidance program is incredible. So those of you who have not registered with us already, I would once again request them to register with us as soon as possible. And the venue will be online as well as offline. If you are thinking of becoming a part of this interview guidance program via online, then the medium will be Zoom. And of course, if you are thinking to become a part of this interview guidance program via the offline mode, then I would request you guys to come to our Chanmari office. This is where the interview guidance program will be conducted. Okay, then you can always get in touch with us by calling us on this number, that is 91275-15541. So you can always call on this number 91275-15541. This is our contact number. And see, these are some of the most important aspects of this interview guidance program. That is one-to-one individual profiling session. One-to-one individual profiling. What is the meaning of profiling? We will analyze your strengths and weaknesses, and we will tell you which thing is good for you, which thing is bad for you. We will analyze you. We will read you from top to bottom. We will tell you what kind of a personality you have and how to approach the final round of interview. That is the meaning of profiling, and that is our job. Then apart from it, multiple online and offline seminar, workshop sessions, all this is a part of the interview guidance program. Conducting mock interviews is not the only thing. Before conducting mock interviews, we will be doing, for example, individual profiling, then online and offline seminars. Then of course, we will also talk about the important current affairs discussion classes by senior faculties of CSAP. Okay, because you never know, they might ask you a lot of things which are in the news. So we will make you ready for that particular aspect of the interview as well. Then apart from it, we will also share PDF materials with you, which will cover all the latest happenings across the world. Then of course, the last thing is one-to-one mock interview sessions with esteemed panelists. You will get a chance to interact with the likes of Sri Anil Swarup sir, Sri Robin Kolita sir, and Sri Omiyo Kumar Bada, apart from the rest of the distinguished members of the interview panel. So this is a golden opportunity, guys. Please do not miss it. Trust me on this. You will never get a better interview guidance program in Assam. Okay, this is the best interview guidance program in Assam for the APEC CCEC mains. Okay, CCE mains. Then and this is something which we are starting from 25th of August itself. Okay, this thing will be headed by Sri Robin Kolita sir, and this is what interview guidance program. And you can attend this session. You can attend this particular session on Zoom, where he will be talking about, you will be able to have a one-to-one discussion and doubt clearing sessions with the expert. And let me repeat it for you. Sri Robin Kolita sir has already been a former external member of the APEC interview board. So he knows the things inside out as to what kind of an approach needs to be taken in order to crack this round successfully. Okay, and you can talk to him, you can interact with him, and this session will be held in Zoom. And the date is 25th of August. We are conducting this session from 5 to 7 p.m. So please, you can scan this QR code and you can register with us. Okay, you can register with us for this program by scanning this QR code. And also, we are conducting a similar, as part of the interview guidance program itself, we are conducting a similar workshop which will be headed by none other than Sri Anil Swarup sir. He is a retired IAS officer, and also he is a very accomplished Indian author, as well as he is the former Coal Secretary of India. And this particular session will also be held in Zoom, and we have scheduled it for 10th of September 2023, and it will start at 11:30 a.m. So do not miss these opportunities, and he will also clear all your doubts. He will also bust all your myths regarding the interview. I completely understand you all might be having a lot of fears, anxieties as to how to approach this interview. What kind of questions should I expect? Okay, what kind of questions should I expect in these interviews? Whether I should say this or whether I should say not. What if I do not know the answer to a question? How do I react to such a situation? What do I do in such a situation? All those doubts will be cleared in these two sessions. Okay, all those doubts will be cleared. You can ask as many doubts as you have. Okay, and all your doubts, rest assured, all your doubts will be cleared by these two distinguished personalities. Okay, then having said that, no, this is only for those who have cleared. Okay, this is only for those who have cleared the prelims. Okay, this is only for those who have cleared the prelims. Yes, baby, you got it right. You got it right. This is only for those who have cleared the prelims and who have written mains this time. Okay, but better luck next time. So I would once again urge you guys to clear when you appear for the APSC, the next APSC exams, when you sit for the next APSC exams. I would appear to crack it. Okay, I would appear to crack it at the very first attempt, and then you all will be eligible to sit for this. Okay, ठीक है sir? So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with our session. See, so in our last class, we we had spoken about a significant part of the later Vedic period. ठीक है sir? We had spoken about a significant part of the later Vedic period. Today we shall start the class by primarily talking about what? Today we shall start the class by primarily talking about something which according to me, okay, I will start the class today by primarily talking about something which according to me is the heart and soul of the Vedic period. Without this part, Vedic period would be incomplete, and in fact we would not know much about the Vedic period without this part, which I am going to start the class with today. And this is what? This is the Vedic this is the Vedic literature. Okay, this is the Vedic literature. See, this is the Vedic literature. See, Vedic literature is something, okay, Vedic literature is something without which Vedic period is vastly incomplete. Okay, whatever we know of the Vedic period, 90% of the things have been obtained from various things which are a part of the Vedic literature. Now I will tell you the meaning of Vedic literature. Okay, I hope you guys understand the meaning of the word literature. Okay, literature means so Vedic literature, it actually comprises a lot of things. Vedic literature includes a lot of things. It does not include a one or two thing. Okay, it does not include a one or two things. It includes a lot of things. A lot of things are included in this Vedic literature. Now, before talking about those things, okay, before looking at what all will come under Vedic literature, we have to know about two broad divisions. Vedic literature, it can broadly be divided. Okay, it can broadly be divided into two parts. Vedic literature ami duta bhagot broadly bhagabo paru. Broadly, it can be divided broadly into two parts. The first part is known as Shruti. The first part is Shruti. This is H. Okay, H for horse. The first part is Shruti and the second part is Smriti. The second part is Smriti. ठीक है sir? Not to be confused with our Honorable Union Minister Smriti Irani ji. ठीक है sir? Smriti. The second part is what? Smriti. Now let's try to understand. These are the two broad divisions. Okay, these are the two broad divisions. So broad divisions mean ki obviously when I say these are the two broad divisions, these two divisions will have further subdivisions, no? So that will be there. But let's first try to understand the meaning of Shruti and meaning of Smriti. Now, what is the meaning of Shruti? Now, let's not focus on the literal meaning. Okay, let's not focus on the literal meaning. So, Shruti literal meaning ki. Shruti's literal meaning is to hear, and Smriti's literal meaning is to memorize. But the literal meanings in this case are not very important. You have to understand the meaning of Shruti. Aru, what does Shruti refer to? What does it refer to? So Shruti refers to that part of Vedic literature. So both Shruti and Smriti are parts of Vedic literature. But Shruti refers to that part of Vedic literature which has a component of what? Divine intervention. Which has a component of divine intervention. Mane, what is the meaning of divine intervention? It's a belief. Eto বিশ্বাস কৰা হয় যে শ্ৰুতি, it's a belief, okay, it's a belief, it's a deeply held belief that the shruti part of the Vedic literature, was revealed. It was revealed by the gods themselves to the various Aryan tribes. Am I clear? Shruti part of the literature. Jeneke, for example, let me tell you now itself. Jeneke ami jak ami Vedas buli ko. Okay, we all know there are 4 Veds. Okay, there are 4 Veds. Thik ase? Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved and Atharva Ved. So for example, Veds are a part of Shruti. Thik ase? Ved bilak Shruti under tahibo. Okay, the Veds will come under Shruti. Now it is believed that Veds bilakot, Vedas bilakot, Jun bilak, hymns bilak ase, mantra bilak ase. Hey, mantra bilak, they were revealed by gods. It's a belief that the hymns, the Vedas, okay, the hymns which are included in the Vedas, they were revealed by gods themselves to the various Aryan tribes. And then those Aryan tribes, they started composing the hymns. But tahatok he hymns bilak, who revealed the hymns to those Aryan tribes? The gods themselves. So jihetu gods themselves reveal korise, so obviously in terms of what? In terms of importance, obviously the Shruti part of Vedic literature will enjoy a more amount of sanctity. Ba apnaloke kobo pare, it is considered generally to be most sacred in nature, to be most sacred karon gods are directly involved, no? Okay, that is what the belief says, that gods are directly involved. They are revealing things to certain Aryan tribes, or hey, Aryan tribes bilage ki korise, they are composing. So here gods are directly involved, and anything where gods are directly involved obviously becomes more sacrosanct. Those are not to be touched, those are not to be altered, because they have a key, they have a high value, they are very, very sacred. They are not to be tampered with, they are not to be altered. They are sacrosanct. Sacrosanct শব্দটোৰ অৰ্থ কি? They are not to be touched. Sacrosanct. ঠিক আছে? So বুজিছা বস্তুটো? So Shruti means that, okay, Shruti is that part of the Vedic literature which is believed to have been what? Which is believed to have been revealed by gods themselves to various Aryan tribes. Hey, part to kami Shruti buli ko. Jeneke example ki hobo? Vedas. Okay, মই আহিম অলপ পিছত. Okay, I will talk about them separately. And Smriti, just the opposite of Shruti. Smriti is that part of Vedic literature. Smriti is that part of Vedic literature which doesn't have any divine intervention. Which is also important. It is a part of Vedic literature. It is very much a part of Vedic literature, but it did not have any divine intervention. Shruti divine intervention, divine mane ki gods and goddesses. Thik ase? Shrutit ase aru smritit nai. Am I clear? Okay, did you guys get the meaning? Did you guys understand the meanings of Shruti and Smriti? Did you guys get it? I will come to Mahabharata. Rajdeep Talukdar, Mahabharata is not a part of Shruti. Mahabharata is a part of Smriti. Mahabharata is not a part of Shruti. Mahabharata is a part of Smriti. Okay, I will come to that. I will talk about them separately. Just before talking about them separately, I just wanted to give you a brief idea as to what are these two broad divisions. Okay, what these two broad divisions are. I just wanted to share that piece of information with you guys, and I hope I'm quite clear here. Please respond to me in the comment section below whether you guys understood this broad classification or not. Okay, please respond to me very, very quickly. Okay, now let's get started. Let's first talk about the Shruti part, obviously. Let's first talk about the Shruti part. Yes, if you say Shruti, okay, now what all comes under Shruti? First and foremost, Samhitas. First and foremost, Samhitas. Okay, when you say Shruti, first and foremost, Samhitas will become a part of Shruti. Now, what is Samhitas? Okay, what are Samhitas? Samhitas, the meaning of the word Samhita or Samhitas is what? Collection. This is the literal meaning of the word Samhita. Okay, this is the literal meaning of the word Samhita. It means what? It means collection. What do we need to study? What are Samhitas after all? Samhitas are nothing but what? Samhitas is Sarikhon Vedoke, 4 Veds. Okay, the 4 Vedas put together is known as what? Samhitas. Okay, 4 Vedas put together is known as Samhitas. So Samhitas would include what? Samhitas would include Rig Ved, Yajurved, okay, Samved, and what? Atharva Ved. The 4 famous Vedas. The 4 famous Veds. Okay, Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharva Ved. All the 4 Veds put together is known as what? Samhitas. All the 4 Veds put together is known as Samhita. Okay. Tapia Afrin, what do you exactly mean by who proposed Smriti? I did not get your answer. How can Smriti be proposed by someone? Tapia, would you please clarify your question? Okay, anyway, so did you guys understand all these 4 Veds? Okay, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, and Atharva Ved. All these 4 Veds put together is known as what? Samhitas. Now let's talk about each of the 4 Veds separately. First, let's talk about Rig Ved. What exactly is Rig Ved? And by the way, why is Rig Ved important historically? Now we are not talking about, now we are not going to go deep into the religious aspect of things, but we are going to stick to what? Historiography. How all this is helping us in reconstructing the past, because we are studying history. History is all about reconstructing the past. Now, how are Vedas, and in fact in this case the Rig Veda, how is Rig Veda helping us in reconstructing the past is what we need to focus on. How it is helping us, how it is telling us, how it is, is it giving us information about the about the society of that time? Is it giving us information about the religious beliefs of that time? Is it telling us about the polity of that time? Does it have any amount of information for us regarding the economy of that time? These are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves. And then history becomes very, very important for us, and then we will also understand the significance of the Vedic age as to why do we need to study the Vedic age, as well as how important Vedas are in relation to understanding the Vedic period. ठीक है sir? Definition of Smriti is that part of the Vedic literature which did not have any divine intervention. It is just the opposite of Shruti. Tapia, I hope you got the answer. It is just the opposite of Shruti. Shruti had some kind of a divine intervention. Smriti did not have any divine intervention. But these are not historical facts. You need to differentiate between religion and history at some point. This is a belief. So I have used the word belief, bisakh. Vishwas. Okay, Yaqeen. This is a belief. Now we are going to study about Rig Veda. Now, excuse me, what exactly is Rig Veda? See, as we all know, Rig Veda is one of the holiest books in Hinduism. Okay, it is the holiest books in Hinduism. But what does it contain? Okay, what does it contain? Yes, Tapia, there are many examples of Smriti. For example, Mahabharata, Ramayana, they will all come under Smriti. I will talk about them separately, Tapia, okay? Mahabharata, Ramayana, Shat Darshan. Okay, Shat Darshan will also come under Smriti. What is the meaning of Shat Darshan? Shat Darshan means 6 philosophical schools of thought. Shat Darshan. Okay, then Vedanga will come under Smriti, then Upaved will come under Smriti, Puranas will come under Smriti, Dharma Shastras will come under Smriti. All this will come under Smriti. But let's first talk about Shruti. ठीक है sir? Once we complete Shruti, then I will start talking about Smriti. Okay, one step at a time. One step at a time. Okay. Rajdeep, Rig Veda gives us knowledge about the Sanskrit language. So, how is that important in reconstructing the past? How is that important in reconstructing the past? What is the purpose of history? The purpose of history is not to know about the Sanskrit language, no. The purpose of history is to reconstruct the past. Yes, if the Sanskrit language is helping us in understanding the past, then it can be a very useful tool. But I am asking, what is the importance of Rig Veda in a historical sense? So, in order to answer that question, we first need to understand what Rig Veda is all about. ठीक है sir? Now see, Rig Veda, it contains 1028 hymns. It contains 1028 hymns, 1028 hymns. Hymns mean ki, in a layman's language, you can understand them as mantras. Rig Veda, it contains, okay, it contains 1028 hymns. Rig Veda contains how many hymns? 1028 hymns. Hymns. ठीक है sir? Beautiful. These are beautiful expressions. Okay, these are beautiful hymns. Very, very beautiful. Very, very creative. These are what? These are creative expressions of the highest order. You can also call them creative expressions of the highest order. And these 1028 hymns were composed by various Aryan tribes. I hope you remember in my last class or in one of my previous classes, I told you that there was not one single tribe during the Vedic period. There were many Aryan tribes. Okay, there were many Aryan tribes. And so, these 1028 hymns was also not the work of a single Aryan tribe. Many Aryan tribes have composed these hymns. And why are they composing these hymns? What is the objective? They are composing these hymns in praise of their gods and goddesses. As simple as that. Okay, they are composing these 1028 hymns in praise of their gods and goddesses. In praise of their gods and goddesses. Who are composing? Who composed? The various Aryan tribes. They composed. They are composing. Okay, they are composing these hymns, and these hymns are, as we all know, they are in a poetic, they are in the form of a poem. They are in a poetic style, not a prose style. Okay, they are in the style of a poetry. ठीक है sir? These hymns. Now, all these Aryan tribes are composing 1028 hymns. ठीक है sir? We know that Rig Veda in totality, it comprises 1028 hymns composed by various Aryan tribes in praise of their gods and goddesses. Now, we also have to understand, we also have to know one more thing. Whom was the first hymn dedicated to? ठीक है sir? माने Rig Veda contains 1028 hymns. Out of these 1028 hymns, whom was the first hymn dedicated to? Which god? Like I said a short while ago, all these hymns were dedicated to the gods and goddesses. Okay, the gods and goddesses. Okay, the gods and goddesses. So the thing is that uh, out of these 1028 hymns, whom was the first hymn dedicated to? The first hymn of Rig Veda, the first hymn of Rig Veda was dedicated to Agni. Agni, fire, okay, Lord Agni. The first hymn of the Rig Veda was dedicated to Lord Agni. The first hymn of the Rig Veda was dedicated to Lord Agni. Lord Agni, who has been mentioned how many number of times in the Rig Veda? He has been mentioned around 200 times. If you read Rig Veda, you will find that Agni has been mentioned for as many as 200 times in Rig Veda. That itself goes to show the importance of Lord Agni during the Rig Vedic period. He has been mentioned, he has been spoken about, he has been referred to as many as 200 times. Agni. And the first hymn of the Rig Veda has also been dedicated to Agni. The first hymn. But that is not all. The first hymn may have been dedicated to Lord Agni, but most number of hymns have been dedicated to Lord Indra. Most number of hymns have been dedicated to whom? Lord Indra. And Lord Indra has been mentioned. Lord Indra has been mentioned for around 250 times. Lord Indra has been mentioned. Okay, Rig Veda refers to Lord Indra for around 250 times. Okay, you will find 250 utterances or 250 mentions of Lord Indra in Rig Veda. And because out of all the gods and goddesses who have been mentioned in Rig Veda, because Lord Indra has been mentioned for the most number of times, that is why we can safely conclude, or that is why historians have safely concluded that Lord Indra must have been the most important god during the Rig Vedic period or the early Vedic period. Am I clear? ठीक है sir? So these are some of the things regarding the Rig Veda, and as far as Rig Veda is concerned, we have already spoken about certain aspects of Rig Veda before as well. Okay, we have already spoken about certain aspects of Rig Veda before. For example, we all know Rig Veda comprises how many books? In totality, Rig Veda comprises 10 books, which are not known as books, by the way. We call them mandalas. Okay, Rig Veda has a total number of 10 mandalas, but 10 books or mandalas. Out of these 10 books, book number 2 to book number 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Book number 2 to book number 7 were composed during the early Vedic period, which is also known as Rig Vedic period, by the way, and the rest of the books, the rest of the mandalas, that is 1, 8, 9, 10, those were composed during the later Vedic period. Okay, that much is known to us already. For example, okay, and you also have to understand one thing. Although I have told this in one of my previous classes, I am repeating myself because this needs to be understood at the very beginning to avoid any kind of confusion. And that is what? That is, these hymns were simply composed at this stage. They were not being written down. They were simply composed. There is a difference between writing something down and composing something. Okay, Vedic period, it is largely accepted that Vedic period or Vedic people did not have a sense of writing. They did not know how to write. They did not know how to write. Okay, it is a generally held belief. ठीक है sir? They did not know how to write. Okay, they did not know how to write. The Vedic people. So so anyway, so these are some of the things which we need to know about the Rig Veda. Yes, there is one more thing. There is one more thing. See, Rig Veda is also known as the first testament of mankind. Rig Veda is also known as the first testament of mankind. Why is it known as the first testament of mankind? Because it is widely believed to be the first example of a literary composition. It is widely believed to be the first example of a religious literary composition. But to cut a long story short, if I have to say the same thing in a very simple manner, Rig Veda is generally believed to be the world's oldest religious book. Okay, it is generally believed to be the world's oldest religious book. So it is also known as what? The first testament of mankind. The first testament of mankind. This also needs to be understood. Rig Veda is also known as the first testament of mankind. Now Rig Veda is the most important Veda. It is very, very important. Rig Veda is very, very important because there is still a lot of relevance of the Rig Veda. Today, Lord Indra may not be one of the most popular gods of Hinduism. Today, Lord Indra may not be the most popular gods in Hinduism, but most of the things which have been mentioned in Rig Veda or Rig Veda, many things, most of the things that Rig Veda talks about are still relevant, are still being used, are still being followed by people who follow the Vedic rituals. So that goes to show the significance of Rig Veda. Rig Veda's significance also lies in the fact, Rig Veda's significance also lies in the fact that had Rig Veda not been there, if Rig Veda would not have been there, okay, if Rig Veda would not have been there, two other Vedas also would not be there. Which two Vedas? Those two Vedas are Yajur Ved and Sam Ved. Yajur Ved and Sam Ved, they exist because Rig Veda exists. Had Rig Veda not existed, Yajur Ved and Sam Ved also would not have existed. Okay, which makes Rig Veda even more important because Yajur Ved and Sam Ved are totally dependent on Rig Veda. Okay, they can be considered, they can also be termed as offshoots of Rig Veda. Now let's try to understand what is Yajur Ved. Yajur Ved. And so and as far as the historical significance of Rig Veda is concerned, I've already talked about a lot of things in my previous classes, so I'm not repeating. Like for example, from Rig Veda itself, we come to know that the people were living in the Sapta Sindhu region during the Rig Vedic period. From Rig Veda itself, we come to know that Saraswati was one of the most important river. Okay, Saraswati was one of the most important rivers for the Rig Vedic people because most of the Rig Vedic hymns were composed on the banks of river Saraswati. From Rig Veda, we come to know about the battle of the 10 kings or the Das Rajanya. So all these things are being informed to us by the Rig Veda, which makes it very, very important for us historically. From Rig Veda, we come to know about the Rig Vedic society, that the Rig Vedic society was a tribal society. There, the head of a tribe was known as Rajan. What were Rajan's responsibilities? Who was Rajan? We come from example, Rig Veda helps us understand that the most important asset for the Rig Vedic people was what? The most important asset for the Rig Vedic people was cattle, especially cows. How do we know all these things? Only because of Rig Veda. Only because of Rig Veda. Only because of Rig Veda. Okay. So anyway, now let's talk about Yajurveda. See, first and foremost, what is Yajurveda? Yajurveda is, it is a book of, it is also known as the book of rituals. Okay, it is also known as the book of rituals. Why it is known as the book of rituals? Because Yajurveda, see, you also have to keep one thing in mind. Yajurveda, when was Yajurveda composed? Yajurveda was composed during the later Vedic period. Yajurveda was composed during the later Vedic period. And if you guys remember what I have told in one of my previous classes, later Vedic period was all about what? It was all about excessive ritualism. The rituals were increasing. The rituals had increased manifold. Okay, rituals. For example, animal sacrifice animal sacrifice was one such ritual which had increased manifold. The incidents of animal sacrificing were increasing like anything. So this is the ritual I'm talking about. Okay, excessive ritualism became a norm. During what? It became a norm during the later Vedic period. And Yajurveda was a product, it was an outcome of the later Vedic period. So Yajurveda talks about the rituals. How is Yajurveda different from Rig Veda? Yajurveda tells us about the rituals. Yajurveda tells us about the rituals which are supposed to be performed. Yajurveda tells us about the rituals which are supposed to be performed. Which are supposed to be performed while chanting the hymns of the Rig Veda. Am I clear? Yajurveda talks about the rituals. Okay, for example, what do you need to do? You are not just supposed to, while the Purohit chants the what? While the Purohit chants the hymns of Rig Veda. Okay, Rig Veda is all about hymns, 1028 hymns. So when the Purohit is chanting a particular hymn, he is not just supposed to chant that hymn, at the same time he is also supposed to perform a ritual. Okay, you all must have seen Purohits chanting hymns and performing rituals at the same time. Okay, for example, he would offer ghee to the fire, he would offer vegetables to the fire, he would offer fruits to the fire. All those are rituals. So what are the Purohits? Or what is the Jajman? Who is a Jajman? Jajman is the person who is hosting a Yajna or who is hosting a Yajna, and in front of him sits the Purohit. Okay, so when the Purohit is chanting the hymns of the Rig Veda, what is the Purohit supposed to do? He is also supposed to perform certain rituals, whereas certain rituals are also supposed to be performed by the host of that Yajna. By the host of that Yajna, who is known as Jajman. So all these rituals have been mentioned in Yajurveda. All these rituals, so because of this feature, Yajurveda is also known as the book of rituals. Okay, Yajurveda is also known as the book of rituals because of this feature of Yajurveda. Okay, Yajurveda, you also have to know one thing. Yajurveda, initially Yajurveda had two parts. One was Shukla Yajur. The other part was Krishna Yajur. Okay. Yajurveda initially had two parts. One was Shukla Yajur, the other was Krishna Yajur. I want you guys to find out the meanings of these two things. What is Shukla Yajur and what is Krishna Yajur? Just find out the meanings of these two things once the class is over, and please remind me in the next class about this question, and please be ready with the answers. Okay, now let's move forward. So this was Yajurveda for you. Now let's talk about Samveda. Let's talk about Samved. Now, what is Samved all about? What is Samved all about? And how is Samved? So, Swa, at the very beginning, some time ago, I told you Yajurved is completely dependent on Rigved. So, I mean, it is dependent or not. Had Rigved not been there, Yajurved also would not have been there. Similarly, Samved also owes its existence to Rigved primarily. Samved also owes its existence to Rigved by and large. How can we say that? Samved or Aseki, what does it contain? Samved actually contains certain hymns of Rigveda. Suppose, for example, we all know that Rigveda comprises 1028 hymns. Okay, Rigveda comprises how many hymns? Rigveda comprises 1028 hymns. Now, Samved makes a selection. Okay, Samved selects. Okay, Samved selects some of those verses of Rigveda. Samved, it selects some of the hymns of Rigveda, not all the hymns, but many hymns of Rigveda. Samved selects certain hymns from the Rigveda and then tells us what? And then tells us to chant. Okay, and it instructs, it tells Purohits to chant those hymns in a particular rhythm. Am I clear? Okay, what did I say? Samved picks. Okay, Samved cherry picks, or you can say picks. Samved picks certain hymns. Certain hymns of the Rig Veda are picked by Samved. And Samved tells us that these hymns are supposed to be chanted in a particular rhythm. Rhythm means what? In a particular, in a particular manner. In a particular rhythm means what? Rhythm will always have a musical connotation to it. Okay, this word rhythm will always have a musical connotation to it. Okay, musical connotation. Okay, Samved will always have what? Samved tells us, okay, it selects certain hymns from the Rig Veda and tells us how those hymns are supposed to be chanted in a particular rhythm. Since the word rhythm has a connection with music, since the word rhythm has a connection with what? Since the word rhythm has a connection with music. Okay. Do you guys agree that the word rhythm has a connection with music? Obviously. Okay, rhythm has a connection with music. I mean, always know. Rhythm has to have a connection with music. Now, because rhythm has a connection with music, and Samved is talking about something called, Samved is talking about something like rhythm. Because of this, Samved is known, or Samved is considered to be the oldest book. Okay, it is also considered to be the oldest book on music. Okay, because of this feature, Samved is considered to be the oldest book on music. Okay, it is considered to be what? It is considered, because of this feature, Samved is considered to be the oldest book on music. Am I clear? Am I clear? Buzi Paisa? Okay, please respond to me. Please respond to me, guys. Whatever we have discussed till now Is that much clear? Please respond to me. Sanskrit term for hymn is mantra, Tapia mantra. Okay? Okay? They all mean the same things. Okay? Now, so let's get started. Now, the thing is that, so this was Samved for you. Okay, this was Samved for you. Now, after Samved, we now Atharva Ved. Okay, now let's talk about Atharva Ved. Now let's talk about Atharva Ved. Now, what is the meaning of Atharva Ved? Why this Ved is why this Ved is different? See, let me tell you, this Ved is quite different from the other three Veds. This Veda, this Atharva Veda is quite different from the other three Veds. Atharva Veda is very different from the other three Veds. Let me tell you that thing. It is very different. Atharva Veda is very different from the other three Veds. It is very different. Okay, how it is different and why is it different? Now we have to understand why is it different. Atharva Ved is different. If you read Atharva Ved, okay, if you read Atharva Ved contains many things which are non-Aryan. Atharva Ved contains many things. Atharva Ved contains many things which are non-Aryan in nature. Atharva Ved, according to historians, Atharva Ved is the result of what? According to historians, Atharva Ved was the result of a lot of interaction. It was the result of a lot of interaction going on between whom? It was the result of a lot of interaction going on between the Aryans and the non-Aryans. Okay, so you guys have to understand one thing. We are talking about the Vedic period. Just because we are talking about the Vedic period does not mean that the Aryans were the only ones living in that period. There were other people also. There were non-Aryans also who were not following. Who were non-Aryans? Non-Aryans were those people who were not a part of the Vedic culture. They had their own culture. They were following their own culture at that time. They were not following the Vedic culture because Vedic culture was being followed by the Aryans. The non-Aryans were following their own culture. But Atharva Ved tells us, Atharva Ved indicates us, Atharva Ved refers to a possibility, or you can also say Atharva Ved makes it amply evident. It makes it very clear that there was an interaction going on between the Aryans and the non-Aryans. How can we say that? Because in Atharva Ved you will find many non-Aryan elements. In Atharva Ved you will find many non-Aryan elements like magic, spells, and let's say things like which we call amulets. Okay, Atharva Ved, you will find many non-Aryan things in Atharva Ved. And two of the most famous non-Aryan things, two of the most important non-Aryan things that you will find in Atharva Ved are what? magic, okay, things like Atharvaved talks about, okay, Atharvaved talks about things like magic. Atharvaved talks about things like magic, spell. Always remember this thing, magic or spell was not an Aryan thing. Now, of course, it has become a part of Hinduism. I am saying originally. So, etiase ami je, for example, tantric, okay, magic, tantricism, okay, tantricism plays a very important role, okay, and tantricism, it gives a lot of attention to what? It gives the tantricism, it gives a lot of attention to the art of magic, okay, to the art of magic. But historians and scholars are of the opinion that magic was originally a non-Aryan thing. Most probably magic, the concept of magic entered the fold of Hinduism through the non-Aryan tribes. And maybe Atharva Veda was the beginning of such a what? Atharva Veda was the beginning of, you can say, of such an admixture of different cultures and beliefs. Okay, so Atharva Veda, if you read Atharva Veda, you will see a lot of non-Aryan influence. You will see a lot of non-Aryan elements like magic, spell, and amulets. What is the meaning of amulets? Amulets mane, amulets would mean rings. Okay, it can mean rings that we wear. Okay, it can mean rings. It can mean what? It can mean rings. It can mean tabis. The things which we wear to what? To keep away evil forces. Okay, things which we wear to ward off evil spirits or to keep away evil forces. Those things are known as amulets. Amulets can include rings as well as tabis and other things also, threads also. All these things come under amulets. And these are generally believed by historians and scholars to be non-Aryan in nature, non-Aryan. And because Atharva Veda is talking about certain non-Aryan elements, it clearly shows that, and since Atharva Veda has been made a part of the Vedas, it has been made a part of the Shruti literature, so it clearly shows that there was a lot of interaction going on between Aryans and non-Aryans, and it was a two-way exchange. It was a two-way exchange. If non-Aryans were getting influenced by the Aryans were also getting influenced by the non-Aryans. This is an example of this. The Aryans were also getting influenced by non-Aryans. Okay? Non-Aryans were those people who were not following the Vedic culture. Non-Aryans were those people who were not following the Vedic culture. For example, Dasas and Dasyus have been mentioned in the Rig Veda. They are largely considered to be non-Aryans. Okay, Dasas and Dasyus, they are largely considered to be non-Aryans. And there were many other people. Whoever was not following the Vedic culture was a non-Aryan at that point in time. He was a non-Aryan. Okay, we are studying separately about the Vedic people because mainly because of their contributions. And mainly because maybe they were a bit more civilized than the non-Aryans at that point in time. Okay. By civilized, I mean civilized in terms of technology, in terms of advancement, in terms of economy, in terms of polity. And maybe the non-Aryans at that point in time were they were not at the same level of development. Maybe. But I'm not trying to say that the non-Aryans were inferior to the Aryans. I'm not trying to say that. Okay. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not making a comparison here between Aryans and non-Aryans. Both were good in their own place. I'm just talking about the influence. I am just talking about the influence each of them had on the other. Okay, are you guys getting me? I'm just talking about the influence each of them had on the other. And Atharva Veda is a very good example of that. It is a very good example of the influence each of them may have had on each other. No, Rajdeep. North Korea is how can you? That's a very poor example. Okay, North Korea, you cannot consider North Korea to be non-Aryan just because of the fact that North Korea has its own culture. All the countries have their own culture. Every state of Assam has its own culture. So how can you say every state of Assam is non-Aryan? That's not the right way to look at things. Okay, that is not the right way. So okay, so this was Atharva Ved. Now, so these were the 4 Vedas. Okay, so these were the 4 Vedas, and all the 4 Vedas were a part of, like I said, Shruti literature. We are not done with Shruti literature yet. Okay, we are not done with, we are simply done with Vedas. But Vedas are not the only part of Shruti literature. Shruti literature has got more to it. Okay, Shruti literature has got more to it. The second thing which will come under Shruti literature is Brahmanas. Brahmanas. First was what? Samhitas. And under Samhitas, all the 4 Vedas came. Samhita was the first. This is the second, Brahmanas. Now, what are Brahmanas? What are Brahmanas? Brahmanas are nothing but they are what? They are commentaries on the Vedas. They are commentaries on the Vedas. What is the meaning of commentary? See, a short while ago, I remember telling you guys what? A short while ago, I told you guys that Vedas were written in a poetic style. Vedas were written in a poetic style. Okay, Vedas were, I'm so sorry, they were not written, they were composed. Okay, Vedas were composed in a poetic style. Now they were composed in a poetic style, but Brahmanas, what are they trying to do? They are giving us a commentary on the Vedas, and the Brahmanas were composed in a prose format. Okay, prose. So in a way they were text heavy. Okay, Brahmanas were text heavy because they're trying to explain things in a they're trying to explain. See, if you make a comparison between a poem and a prose, okay, pick any poem and pick any paragraph. I hope you guys understand the difference between a poem and a prose. Pick any poem and pick any prose. It is always hard to understand the poem, and it is always easy to understand the paragraph. So that is the difference. Since Vedas were composed in a very nice way, in a very beautiful poetic expression, it was not easily understood by everyone. So the need must have, the need must have arisen. The need must have arisen for a commentary on the Vedas, which would make it easier, for the Brahmins to understand the message of the Vedas. So the Brahmanas were those works. Okay, Brahmanas were commentaries on the Vedas. They were what? Commentaries on the Vedas. Okay, Brahmanas were commentaries on the Vedas. As simple as that. Now, there are many Brahmanas. Okay, there is Aitriya Brahmana. Okay, there are many such Brahmanas, but from a historical point of view, one of the most important Brahmanas is Shat Patha Brahmana. Shat Patha Brahmana. Okay, one of the most important Brahmanas from a historical point of view is what? Shat Patha Brahmana. Okay, Shat Patha Brahmana. One thing also, okay, another thing that needs to be understood is that, another thing which needs to be understood here is that every Ved has its own Brahmana. Each of the four Vedas have their own Brahmanas. Otherwise, how will people understand each of the four Vedas? So each of the four Vedas must be having their own commentaries. Brahmanas are nothing but commentaries on the Vedas. So Shatpatha Brahmana, this is a very important Brahmana from a historical point of view. Shatpatha Brahmana, and Shatpatha Brahmana, it was a Brahmana of which Veda? It was a Brahmana of Yajurveda. Shatpatha Brahmana was a key. Shatpatha Brahmana, it was a Brahmana of Yajurveda. Now this needs to be understood. Now, why am I saying Shatpatha Brahmana is very, very important from a historical point of view? What does it tell us? Okay, what does it tell us? What does it tell us? What is so important? Okay, what is that thing which is so important that this tells us that it becomes so important for us? What is it? What is it that it tells us? Because from Shatpatha Brahmana is historically very, very relevant. Shatpatha Brahmana is historically very, very relevant. Why is it very, very relevant? It is historically very, very relevant because it is from Shatpatha Brahmana. It is from Shatpatha Brahmana that we come to know that during the later Vedic period, the Brahmins, most of the Brahmins, okay, during the later Vedic period, we come to know from Shatpatha Brahmana that most of the Brahmins were getting, they were getting inclined towards materialism. In other words, it is from the Shatpatha Brahmana that we come to know that there was a growing sense of materialism in the society during the later Vedic period. What is the meaning of growing sense of materialism? It means that the society was getting degenerated. Everybody was talking about wealth. Everybody was interested only in wealth creation. Now, Shatpatha Brahmana tells us about the Brahmins who were also getting more and more interested in wealth creation. And what does it tell us? Shatpatha Brahmana tells us that the Brahmins slowly and gradually they started demanding the entire territory from the king. During the later Vedic period, they slowly and steadily. So, what was the role of the Purohits and the Brahmins? The role of the Purohits and the Brahmins was that they used to offer sacrifices. They used to conduct what? They used to conduct the yajnas. They used to conduct the yajnas, and they used to. What was the role of the Brahmins or the priest? The role of the priestly class was to act as an intermediary between the gods and the human beings. Okay, their role was to act as an intermediary between the gods. Okay, they were the middlemen. Okay, they were the middlemen. Their role was to act as an intermediary between the gods and the devotees of God. So the devotees of God, especially I'm talking about the ruling class, the king, he was made to understand one thing. He was made to understand one thing, that if you need blessings of God, if you need the blessings of God, which Rajan obviously needed because he also believed in the concept of God. So Rajan was being made, Rajan was given to understand. Rajan was given to understand that if he needed the blessings of God, those blessings can be achieved only through the Purohits. There is no other way he can attain the blessings of the gods other than through the Purohits. So automatically the position of the Purohits, it went up. Automatically the position of the Purohits went up. And once the position of the Purohits, and it is primarily because of this feature, that the Brahmins were able to occupy the number one position in the caste system. Because in a way the Rajans, the Kshatriya caste depended. Okay, in a way, the Kshatriya caste became dependent on the Brahmins. For what? For their success in the wars. Because in order to achieve success in the wars, the Kshatriyas have to rely on Brahmins, because only the Brahmins knew how to please the gods and get the blessings from gods for the Kshatriya. Okay, this was the nexus. Okay, this was the belief. And slowly and steadily what happened, as time went by, okay, with the gradual passage of time, the Brahmins, they became more and more dominant. They started dominating they started dominating the kings. They started dominating the kings, or they tried dominating the kings. And things came to such a pretty pass. Things became so, things reached such a level. Things reached such a level that, and in return of the services, of course, the Brahmins were demanding something. Initially their demands were minimal. Okay, initially the demands were minimal. In fact, the later Vedic texts are full of something called Dhanastutis. Okay, Dhanastutis. The later Vedic texts are full of something called Dhanastutis. What are these Dhanastutis? Dhanastutis are also composition. They are also verses. Certain verses of the later Vedic texts are known as Dhanastutis. Now, what are Dhanastutis? Dhanastutis are those compositions which were composed by the Brahmins in praise of the people who were doing what? In praise of the patrons. Who are the patrons? In praise of those who were giving donations to the Brahmins. So just to thank the patrons for giving donations, they are composing certain verses, and these verses are known as what? Dhanastutis. Dhanastutis. So Dhanastutis itself. So these Dhanastutis themselves make it very clear. These Dhanastutis themselves shed a lot of importance. They shed a lot of light on what? They shed a lot of light on the growing materialism. But Shatpada Brahmana takes it to another level altogether. Shatpada Brahmana ema ki koy? Shatpada Brahmana koy that a point came when the Brahmins are not just demanding things, but they have started demanding the entire kingdom from the king. In other words, their demands kept on increasing, and a time came when they started demanding the entire kingdom. So in other words, we can say that Shatpada Brahmana is historically very, very relevant because it tells us, it gives us a strong indication. It gives us a strong indication of the growing sense of materialism that persisted during the later Vedic period. Okay? Yes, Tapia, Vedic period is divided on the basis of emergence of Vedas. I would request you to watch my previous videos. All that has been discussed in my previous videos. Okay? So now it is not just divided on the basis of the Vedas. Okay? It is just one basis. It is also divided basis on the economy, basis on the polity, because a lot of changes were also, a lot of changes happened. A lot of changes happened as the society transitioned from the Rig Vedic phase to the later Vedic phase. A lot of changes happened. So Shatpada Brahmana, I hope this is clear, the importance of Shatpada Brahmana. Okay, this was the importance of Shatpada Brahmana, and I also hope that you guys understood the meaning of Brahmanas. Okay, now let's talk about Aranyakas, the next thing. 3. Okay, Aranyakas. Aranyakas, Aranyakas. These are also, by the way, known as forest books. These are also known as forest books. Okay, these are also known as what? These are also known as forest books. Aranyakas are also known as forest books. Now, why these were composed? Why were Aranyakas composed? See, a short while ago I told you that during the later Vedic period, there was this growing sense of materialism. There was this growing sense of materialism. A lot of the Brahmins were getting inclined towards wealth generation. Okay, wealth generation. But there were still many such Brahmins. There were still many such Brahmins who were not happy with this state of things. There were still many such Brahmins who were not happy with this state of affairs. They were getting disillusioned. They were getting disillusioned. They had no clue as to why this was happening in the society. They did not like this. They did not like this sudden change. Okay, they did not like this change that has now engulfed the entire society. Growing sense of materialism. It is at this point in time. It is at this point in time that those Brahmins, okay, those Brahmins who are completely displeased about this growing materialism, it is at this point in time that those Brahmins decide. It is at this point in time that those Brahmins decide to move away from the materialistic society and go to forest. It is at this point in time. It is at this point in time that those Brahmins who were getting disillusioned, about this growing sense of materialism in the society, those Brahmins, they decide to move away from this materialistic society and rather go to forest. And after going to forest, they composed something which came to be known as Aranyakas. See, the word Aranyaka itself, if you look at the word carefully, the word itself has another word called Aranya. Aranya means forest. Okay, Aranya means forest. So the meaning of the word is hidden in the word itself, Aranyakas. Now, what kind of compositions were these? These were a bit different. Okay, these were a bit different. If you read the Aranyakas, what are the composers? Okay, what was the mindset of the composers of the Aranyakas? One gets to know about the mindset of the composers of the Aranyakas. If you read the, one gets to know the mindset when you read the Aranyakas. And if you read the Aranyakas, you will get to see, a sense of disillusionment. You will start understanding the fact that they were fed up of this materialistic society. And since they were fed up, they were sick of this materialistic society, they have started asking what? They have started asking certain meaningful positions. Also look at the geographical position. They are now residing in forest. They are staying intentionally. They are staying away from what? They are staying intentionally away from the materialistic society. They are residing in a very serene and peaceful environment. And when one resides in a very serene and peaceful environment, obviously he or she will not think about materialistic things. He or she will go deeper. He will or she will go deeper. They will start asking certain questions which are normally not asked by people when they are occupied with worldly affairs. Now Aranyakas gives us it gives us an idea about what were those people thinking. Okay, those people who had decided to reside to forest, those people who had decided to retreat to forest, those people who had decided to go to the forest, what were they thinking at that point in time? So you will get to know about their what was going on in their mind. Okay, you will get to know as to what was going on in their mind if you read the Aranyakas. And they delve themselves into what? They delve themselves into questions. They delve themselves into questions, and these questions are what? Metaphysical in nature. Aranyakas is all about questions, metaphysical questions. In Aranyakas, you will find that these people who are sick of living in a materialistic society, after going to forest, they start thinking differently. Okay, for example, they start asking they start to show an interest. They start to show an interest in knowing the very purpose of this life. They start expressing an interest in knowing the very purpose of this life. They start expressing an interest in knowing what will happen to us after we die. Are you guys getting me? This is the kind of questions which you will come across if you read the Aranyakas. So Aranyakas, in other words, we can also consider Aranyakas as the first step towards delving into the philosophical side of things. Okay, because what is philosophy? It is philosophy which deals with matters like life and death, or for example, the purpose of life. So if this is what philosophy is all about, if this is what philosophy includes, then will I be wrong if I say that Aranyakas may have been the first step towards generating, towards developing philosophical thought? Towards developing philosophical thoughts. Will I be wrong if I say that? Are you guys getting me? Are you guys getting me? Am I clear? Did you guys understand the meaning of Aranyakas? So Aranyakas Bilakot, okay, Aranyakas, in the Aranyakas you will find many metaphysical questions being put forward by those people. Metaphysical questions like what will happen to us after we die? What is the purpose of this life? Why has God created us? Okay, am I clear? And all these questions are answered where? All these questions you will find, all these questions which are asked in Aranyakas, these questions have been answered. These questions have been answered in Upanishads. Okay, the questions which were asked in Aranyakas, they were answered in the Upanishads. That brings us to the last part of Shruti literature, very, very important. This brings us to the last part of Shruti literature, and that is what? And that is Upanishads. That brings us to the last part of the Shruti literature. Okay, Shruti part of the Vedic literature, that is Upanishads. What are Upanishads? What are Upanishads? Who can tell me? Kashmita, Baby, Priyanka Rani Datta, Rajdeep, Thapia, what are Upanishads? What are Upanishads all about? Any idea? What are Upanishads all about? Bhavana Bujar Barua, Okhomia Bhavana Hongskriti. Please answer me. Answer dear. Give us ideas in Hinduism. What is the meaning of ideas in Hinduism? Yes, yes. Okay. By far, only baby has been able to give a comprehensive answer. These are what? These are the philosophical, in simple words, Upanishads are the philosophical religious texts of Hinduism. Okay, in simple words, Upanishads are the philosophical religious texts. See, Vedas are also religious texts, but Vedas, okay, Vedas, Upanishads draw a lot of inspiration from Vedas. I'm not saying there is no relationship between Vedas and Upanishads. There is a relationship between Vedas and Upanishads, but Upanishads solely deal with the philosophical aspect of Hinduism. Okay, Upanishads solely deal with the philosophical aspect of Hinduism. Upanishads actually is what? It is the philosophical basis of Hinduism. Upanishads, it is the philosophical, Upanishads, it is the philosophical basis. It is the philosophical basis of Hinduism. It is the philosophical basis of Hinduism. Upanishads. Okay. Upanishads ki hoy, it is the philosophical basis of Hinduism. Now, we need to delve a bit deeper into Upanishads in order to understand what Upanishads are all about. Okay, we need to delve a bit deeper in order to understand the Upanishads actually hoy ki. Our Upanishads are mane, what do they talk about? What Upanishads, what do they talk about? What are they talking about? See, Upanishads, the thing is that Upanishads, the main matter, okay, first of all, let's try to understand the literal meaning of the word Upanishads. Let's try to understand the literal meaning. First, let's try to understand the literal meaning of the word Upanishads. What is the literal meaning of the word Upanishads? The literal meaning of the word Upanishads is to sit close. Okay, the literal meaning of the word Upanishads is to sit close. The literal meaning of the word Upanishads is to what? Sit close. This is the literal meaning, to sit close. So why to sit close? It is indicative of that particular setting, you know. It is symbolic. It is indicative of that particular ancient setting where students used to sit below and the teacher used to sit above under a sprawling banyan tree. Okay, remember that particular scene? The teacher used to sit under a sprawling banyan tree and the students, they used to sit below with folded legs. So that is the scene I'm talking about, and the name must have derived from that particular scene. So anyway, the literal meaning of the word Upanishads is to sit close. So the students were supposed to sit close to the guru, they were supposed to sit close to the teacher, and they were supposed to pay what? They were supposed to pay attention to what the guru was saying. Okay, so to sit close and listen. This is the literal meaning of the word Upanishad. Okay, the second thing that we need to know. Yes, Dipanka, you are also right. Priyanka, okay, but that's a very vague answer. Okay, you need to be specific at certain times. So to sit close. Now, what is the subject matter of the Upanishads? What is the subject matter of the Upanishads? The subject matter of the Upanishads is the fact. What is the subject matter of the Upanishads? They talk about what? The Upanishads, they talk about the relationship. They talk about the relationship between Upanishads, they talk about the relationship between creator and creation. Are you guys getting me? Upanishads, they talk about a relationship. They talk about they talk about the relationship between creator and the creation. What kind of a relationship do we have with God? What kind of a relationship do human beings have with God? And not just human beings, anything with a soul in it, anything with a soul in it, all living creatures. What kind of a relationship do living creatures have with God? With the ultimate God. It is the what? It is the subject matter. It is the subject matter of Upanishads. Okay, Upanishads try to tell us. Upanishads, they try to highlight the kind of relationship being shared between whom? The kind of relationship being shared between the creator. Who is the creator? God is the creator, and creation. ठीक है sir? Creator and creation. Then to sit close, then relationship between creator and creation. Then we also have to know another thing. That Upanishads is basically, what we also need to know about Upanishads. Is the philosophy of Upanishads. The philosophy of Upanishads is known as Vedanta. The philosophy of Upanishads is known as what? Vedanta. 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 And the literal meaning of Vedanta is what? End of the Vedas. Vedanta. Okay. And what is Vedanta? Philosophy of the Upanishads. Philosophy of the Upanishads is known as Vedanta. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to know about Upanishads, see, you must have realized by now that in comparison to Aranyakas and Brahmanas, we are talking about Upanishads in a more detailed manner. Why? Because Upanishads are more important than Brahmanas and Aranyakas. They are very, very important. I will tell you why. Then we also need to know that Upanishads are multi-layered texts. Okay, Upanishads are what? Multi-layered text. Upanishads are multi-layered text. What is the meaning of multi-layered text? The meaning of multi-layered text is that, Upanishads are they are open to many interpretations. Upanishads, they are open to many interpretations. They are in multiple layers. Upanishads are in multiple layers. Suppose, for example, a particular line in Upanishad, it may contain up to 10 layers. Okay, not literally, I am saying figuratively, metaphorically. What is the meaning of layers? The meaning can be so deep. That it can have 10 different layers, and based on your understanding capability, based on how capable you are. Okay, based on, suppose for example, if you are less capable to understand what is that line trying to say, you can, let's say, you will go only up till the second or at the most third layer. If you are more capable, okay, if you are more capable, if you have a deeper intellect, if you are more capable to understand, then maybe you will go up to the sixth layer. And one who is most capable, he will be able to go to the bottommost layer. So Upanishads are multi-layered texts. It all depends on how capable you are, whether you are able enough to understand what is the line trying to say. It all depends on that. So depending on your capability, you will understand. So these are multi-layered texts, and because these are multi-layered texts, so Upanishads have also given rise to many different schools of thought. Because like I said, okay, no two individuals can understand the Upanishads exactly the same way. No two individuals can understand the Upanishads exactly the same way. So obviously it will give rise to many schools of thought, and some of these schools of thought are also conflicting in nature. Their ideologies are conflicting in nature because they have given their own ideologies, they have put forth their own ideologies based their own understanding of the Upanishads, because these are multi-layered texts. They are open to interpretations. Okay, they are not a close-end thing. This is the beauty. Okay, this is the beauty of Upanishads. They are not close-ended. They are open-ended. They are open-ended. A thing remains beautiful as long as that thing is open-ended. Close-ended things are never beautiful. Okay. So these are multi-layered texts. Okay. Other than that, what is the significance of Upanishads? Upanishads are significance key. The significance of Upanishads can be gauged from the fact. Okay, one can be, one can clearly know the significance of Upanishads if one can clearly understand how important Upanishads are. If they know that Upanishads, it is from Upanishads that things like karma and moksha. Okay, it is from Upanishads that things like karma and moksha have come into being. Okay, I hope you guys may have heard of terms like karma and moksha. Both these terms, which even today play a very important role in Hinduism. Okay, in fact, moksha is the ultimate objective. Okay, according to Hinduism, or in Hinduism, the ultimate objective of every soul, of every living soul, is to attain moksha or liberation. And karma, we all know. Karma means what? Action. Action, because Hinduism believes that action determines our results. Okay, that is what Hinduism believes in. Action determines our results. Okay, good actions will attract what? Good actions will attract good results. Bad actions will invite bad results. So this is the concept of karma, which is there in Hinduism. And both these things have come out of what? They have come out of Upanishads. So you can now very well understand how important, or you can now very well understand the significance of Upanishads. Okay, so Upanishads are very, very important. Okay, so moksha this is the place of origin of moksha. Okay, this is the place of origin of moksha. No, Upanishads are not the only text that talk about moksha. I am saying this is the place of origin of moksha. For the first time, it is the Upanishads. Which are talking about moksha. And moksha becomes a very popular concept, and it also becomes a very integral part of religions like Jainism and Buddhism. The concept, this moksha, this becomes very popular. And it finds a very, very important position. Okay, it finds a place in Buddhism and Jainism also gradually. Now, karma. Okay, we understood the meaning of karma. What is the meaning of moksha? Can somebody tell me? Not Deepjyoti Kolita. What is the meaning of moksha? What is the meaning of moksha? Who can tell me the meaning of moksha? Moksha does not mean salvation. Salvation is just another word. I am asking meaning. I am not asking what is moksha known in English. Okay, I am not asking what is moksha known in English. I am asking the meaning of moksha. Okay, Tapia, I am asking the meaning of moksha. Homen Talukdar, no. It does not mean death. Spiritual connection between soul and God. What is that spiritual connection that you are talking about? What is the meaning of moksha? Come on. I want a more convincing answer. I want a better answer. Baby, Bhavana, Dipankar. See, moksha means what? In order to understand the concept of moksha, you need to understand another concept. Okay, in order to understand the concept of moksha, you need to understand another concept. And what is that concept? That concept is transmigration of soul. Okay, that concept is what? Transmigration of soul. Transmigration of soul. Transmigration of soul. Hinduism believes in transmigration of soul. Okay? Hinduism believes in this concept, transmigration of soul. Maybe end of the death. In a way, hoy baru, but end of the death, what? Of what? End of the death of what? See, Hinduism believes in transmigration of soul. What is the meaning of transmigration of soul? It means, see, there is this belief that it is the body which gets destroyed. The soul never gets destroyed. The soul never gets destroyed. Okay, there is something soul and there is something called body. Body is simply made up of flesh and bones. What else is in our body? Body is simply made up of flesh and bones. But soul is indestructible. Now, and after we die, okay, Hinduism believes that after an individual dies, or after any living being, after any living creature, after a creature dies, his or her body gets destroyed. But the soul does not get destroyed. So what happens to that soul? The soul then enters into a different body. That could be the body, that can be the body of an animal, that can be the body of a bird, or that can be the body of a human being, or that can be the body of any other living creature. Because soul does not have any form. This is the concept of transmigration of soul. That after the body dies, the soul will enter a different body. So a soul never dies. A soul never dies. Body dies. Soul never dies. Body gets destroyed. Soul never gets destroyed. So you see, this soul is in a way trapped. This soul is in a way trapped in this world. How is it trapped? Because after a body dies, the soul will enter a different body. When that body dies, the soul will enter another body. When that another body dies, it will again go into somebody else's body. So it will go on and on and on and on and on, and it will be trapped in a what? It will be trapped in a circle kind of a thing. It will be trapped in a circle kind of a thing. And this is what? This is not a never-ending cycle, but this cycle will go on and on and on. This is the cycle of life and death. This cycle is known as what? Cycle of life and death. This cycle is known as the cycle of life and death. This is the cycle I want to draw your attention to. Focus on this cycle. This is the cycle of life and death that a soul gets trapped in as per Hinduism. Am I clear? Okay, this is the cycle of life and death, that a soul gets trapped. It is getting trapped in this cycle. It is getting trapped in this cycle. Cycle of life and death. This cycle is known as cycle of life and death. Am I clear? Now, what is the meaning of moksha? Moksha means to break out. Moksha means to get out of this circle. To get out of this circle. Suppose, for example, this is the soul. If the soul gets out of this circle, then this soul is said to have attained what? Moksha. Or if the soul learns how to get out of this circle, then that soul is said to have attained moksha. For example, Gautam Buddha, when he attained enlightenment at the age of 35 and Bodh Gaya on the banks of river Narjara in Bihar, it was at that point in time that Gautam Buddha is said to have attained moksha. He did not die. He did not die right after that. He died at the age of 80, but he was able to attain moksha at the age of 35 itself. Because he came to know as to what is the way I can break this cycle of life and death. Okay, because he came to know about the way, he could break this cycle of life and death. So this is the meaning of moksha. Am I clear? Is the meaning of moksha clear? Okay. So let me very quickly give you two examples of two very famous Upanishads, and then I will end the class. See, two very famous Upanishads. Okay. In total, there are how many Upanishads? In total, there are 108 Upanishads. Okay. This was something which I forgot to mention. In total, there are 108 Upanishads. In total, there are 108 Upanishads. 108. And out of these 108 Upanishads, we don't have to remember the name of each and every Upanishad. But two Upanishads are very important. You guys might have heard of Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad is important because of the phrase Satyameva Jayate. Okay, it has been mentioned in Mundaka Upanishad. Okay, Satyameva Jayate, that is, truth alone triumphs. This phrase Satyameva Jayate has been taken from Mundaka Upanishad. This phrase has been taken from Mundaka Upanishad. And there is another Upanishad. This Upanishad, I'm going to tell you about this Upanishad because this Upanishad, this example will help you understand the nature of Upanishads. Whatever I have discussed about the Upanishad so far, it will give you more clarity about that thing. And the name of this Upanishad is Kathopanishad. Okay, Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad. It's a blend of two words, Katha plus Upanishad. Kathopanishad. And why is this Upanishad? Why am I telling you guys about this Upanishad? Because this Upanishad, okay, this Upanishad is a classic. This Upanishad is very popular. And what has made this Upanishad popular is a very deep conversation. This Upanishad is very popular because of a deep conversation which takes place between a young boy by the name of Nachiketa. A young boy by the name of Nachiketa and Yamdud. Amijak Yam Buliko. Yam is, in Hinduism, is the god of death. Yam. He's the one who captures the soul. Yam. So this Kathopanishad is famous because of this conversation which takes place between Nachiketa and Yam. And in one part of the conversation, they are having a dialogue. Okay, they are having a dialogue. Nachiketa is asking questions and Yam is answering his questions. And there was this question which Yam never expected to encounter. Or he never expected a young boy like Nachiketa, he never expected him to ask him such a question. And that question was, what is the mystery of death? This was the question being asked by Nachiketa to Yam. What is the mystery of death? And Yam was left perplexed. He was taken aback by such a question. Never ever had anyone asked Yam such a question. So initially he did not want to reply to this question, because according to Yam, not even the gods had an answer to this question. Only Yam knew the mystery of death. But when Nachiketa was when he was relentlessly after Yam, when he insisted on knowing the answer, finally Yam responded to Nachiketa and told him the mystery of death. He made him understand the concept of what? Moksha and everything. So I gave you this example so that you guys understand the subject matter of Upanishads. Upanishads, the subject matter is to understand the relationship between creation. Am I clear? Okay, so on that note, I'm ending my today's class. I'll see you all in my next class. Okay, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.